News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow.
Karen, we begin with new developments in the global trade war. This morning, a Chinese foreign ministry spokesman said Beijing is not having trade talks with the U.S. and the White House should not mislead the public about talks. Yesterday, President Trump said his administration was talking with China on trade. We get more with Bloomberg's Rosalind Matheson.
It's interesting to see the denials between them about whether they're having conversations, because it seems as if at least some kind of dialogue is going on, even at a much lower level, and those back channels might be operating. But getting from where we are now to something tangible is another question entirely. So even if the rhetoric is dialing down, getting to a point where we've got a proper framework on tariffs from here between China and the US, or other concessions that either side makes, that's very much yet to be seen.
That's Bloomberg's Rosalind Matheson reporting. And in another development, Bloomberg News has learned China is considering suspending its 125% tariff on some U.S. imports, including medical equipment and industrial chemicals like ethane.
Well, Nathan, Japan is trying to strike a trade deal with the U.S. to avoid tariffs, but doesn't want to be part of a U.S.-led economic bloc against China, its largest trading partner. According to current and former Japanese government officials, Japan is prioritizing its own interests and has conveyed to China that it doesn't fully align with the U.S. on chip-related exports and semiconductor restrictions.
Well, meanwhile, Karen, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is saying that the U.S. and South Korea could reach an agreement of understanding on trade as soon as next week. Bessent talked to reporters at an Oval Office meeting between President Trump and the Prime Minister of Norway.
We had a very successful bilateral meeting with the Republic of South Korea today. We may be moving faster than I thought, and we will be talking technical terms as early as next week as we reach an agreement on understanding as soon as next week. So South Koreans came early. They came with their A game, and we will see if they follow through on that.
That's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. And South Korea's finance minister says the two sides are aiming for a deal by early July. That would be before the 90-day reprieve from higher tariffs ends.
Well, Nathan, as the trade wars go on, there's new analysis of the impact tariffs could have on Americans across the board. And we get the details with Bloomberg's Kimberly Adams.
They'd hit lower-income consumers the hardest. That's according to a report from the left-leaning Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. It finds if the tariffs now in effect stay in place next year, it would amount to a 6.2% tax increase on those making $28,600 or less. That compares to 1.7% for the wealthiest earners, making close to $915,000. Economists have warned tariffs will raise prices for everyone, but low-income families are likely to lose more because they tend to spend more on food and other necessities. Kimberly Adams, Bloomberg Radio.
And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moscow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.